Lawson, how was it out there on a time trial day? It's a tricky one.
Man, that was a very challenging course for sure. It was hard to ride easy. No, it's a very good course. I think honestly, I think the tour's done. Organization has done an incredible job with this year's route. It's evidenced by how exciting the race has been for sure, but definitely a very tough course. I think it's suited very well to two very specific riders who I'm sure will be competing for the win, and I'm sure it'll be pretty tight there at the finish for them.
It's a good course in that also it keeps us guessing, will they or won't they change bikes? I mean, having seen the course there, what's your guess?
Yeah, it's hard to say, really. To be honest, I can't see it making that much of a difference. The only place where a road bike would really be faster is the first 2K of this final climb, I guess the KOM. After that, you're actually going at a pretty good clip where I think the TT bike would probably be a bit more beneficial. So I think it's really, the decision comes down to what you're most comfortable with, and whatever you do, I think you just have to believe in it fully.
It sounds like they are changing bikes. I'm talking about Tadej and Jonas. What about your teammate Simon? And do you think it's a mistake to change bikes then by that sounds of that?
I don't know. It's hard to say what's a mistake and what's not a mistake. I think really, regardless of your decision to change bikes or not change bikes, it's going to come down to who has legs. Yeah. The climb is short enough to where even you're on the TT bike, you can stand up and power over it. But I think the biggest difference maker is actually just going to be the last 3 or 4K, that final drag to the finish. You think you're done with the climb, but it just keeps going up and keeps dragging. And if you still have power there, you can make up, or if you don't, you can lose a lot of time there.
Lawson, we're seeing a lot of TT specialists like you deciding not to really go as hard as maybe you ordinarily would today. Do you think we could see a surprise today, that maybe a Van Aert will go faster than he thinks or we think?
Oh man, I'm honored you think I'm a TT specialist. And who's to say I didn't go hard? No, for sure. Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to beat Vingegaard and Pogacar, especially with how important it is for them to both have a good ride. I mean, this truly could be the day that decides the Tour de France, where they've been so evenly matched when they go head-to-head. So I think the mental battle that they're going to have to go through, pushing themselves beyond their limits, is going to decide who's the winner. I'm really excited to see it on TV.
That final climb that you mentioned, or not the final climb, but the bottom of the final climb, the 2 kilometre steep bit, how hard is it to manage the effort on there, and how difficult will it be, complicated will it be for them? Because presumably, if you run the risk of blowing up, then it will cost you dear in the last 4K.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we are at the Tour de France, and I think the way these top teams operate is they leave nothing to chance. So I'm sure they've come in with a very detailed pacing strategy, and the riders will more or less stick to that. That being said, emotions could always get the better of you, and there are big crowds on the climb, and when there are thousands of people screaming your name, it's easy to just push that little bit over the edge that can really come back and bite you. Yeah, it's going to be a tough course for them. The first half of the course is also not easy. It's not like you can just sit there and focus on the final 6K. You got the 15K before that, the tough climb at the beginning, and the section in the middle where you really have to keep on the pedals and keep the speed. So it's a very tough time trial to gauge. I think it'll be exciting between Pogacar and Vingegaard, and to be honest, I'm also really excited to see how Simon goes. I think it's hard to think of a better course suited for someone like Simon, who won a time trial at the Giro last year that maybe wasn't quite catered to his strength. So it would be an exciting day of racing. Set the final week up really well, I think.
Lawson, how's this tour going to set you up for the World Championships? Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. No, it's always an honor to rep the Stars and Stripes. I'm very excited to be going to Glasgow in a couple weeks after the tour and race the World Championships. We have an extremely strong and talented team, and Yeah, you know, there's been a big transition over the last couple of years where we started coming to these events with bigger and better goals, and just to be named as part of the team and be included in that is a big honor. So I'm hoping to come out of the Tour de France well rested and well, hopefully get rested out at some point, and then yeah, generally yeah. Grand Tours set me up really well for these events. So I'm excited to get there and excited to be with the team.
Who should be the leader for the team there? Were you looking at Quinn Simmons, or who do you think? Do you know?
Yeah, honestly, I have no clue. I mean, and I think that's kind of speaks to the place that USA Cycling is in at the moment. You have Nielsen Palace, who finished 5th in Belgium a couple years ago, had a great ride in Australia. Quinn Simmons, when he puts his mind to something, he can never be counted out. Matteo Jorgensen, it's tough to see him go home today, but hopefully he comes up rested. He's shown what he can do in these classic-style races. You know, Sean Quinn and Kevin Mark, very high-class riders who both have won some races. So I think we'll probably go in. I imagine we go with an open plan, and it's going to be a hard race to predict. And yeah, we'll see.
Be good. Thanks, man.
Yeah.